Afternoon everyone, so my name's Thomas Hobbs. I'm the service manager for Turning Point Scotland's Alcohol and Other Drug Reach Out service. The service covers all of South Lanarkshire. We work with people with problematic substance use and provide a harm reduction approach. The kind of service has kind of 4 peer support practitioners as well as kind of 16 other kind of staff that kind of covers the kind of full of South Lanarkshire. The peer support practitioners, they kind of provide, as well as supporting people into kind of recovery initiatives, they provide a harm reduction approach and interventions within the kind of community as well. And as I said, we've got a kind of case management part of the service who kind of provide a kind of service and work with kind of people who with problematic substance and alcohol use. So Cafe Connect, the concept for kind of Cafe Connect was in 2022 there were 75 drug-related deaths within South Lanarkshire. 25 of them were within Rutherglen and Cambuslang area. Now that is probably just over a third of the drug-related deaths within 2022 took place in Rutherglen and Cambuslang. That's 9% of the entire population within Cambuslang and Rutherglen, the full kind of South Lanarkshire. These drug-related deaths in 2022, there was a number or a spike in October, November, December in 2022 within South Lanarkshire. The high number of these, again, were in Rutherglen and Cambuslang. Based on these kind of suspected drug-related deaths, what then happened, our kind of service along with ADP and other kind of commission services tried to do an approach within that kind of area, try to kind of get some intel, try to kind of engage with kind of people within that kind of the local kind of areas and try and kind of provide kind of resources, try and engage with people who are not known to services, don't engage with services or engage with services just on the back of treatment, who are at risk of overdose. On the back of the intel and information we gathered during that kind of period, we realised that there was limited resources for people who were still using substances, who are just on treatment. I think there's a recent report came out, with Andrew McCauley was saying treatment alone isn't enough for people. So we learned what can we then do to try and provide a resource for people that are on kind of treatment, that are maybe not kind of getting the same opportunities as people who are deemed to be in recovery within that kind of local community. So we come up with that concept. What we're in to do was pitch it to ADP and partners. So what we're then kind of done, we come up with a concept of kind of Cafe Connect. It was a harm reduction style cafe, again, to try and give people the similar opportunities of people who are still kind of using substances problematically. We kind of felt, why do people that are still using substances not getting the same opportunities as people who are deemed to be in recovery? Why do they not kind of feel valued? Why do they need that kind of sense of connection, need that kind of purpose that other kind of people are getting? How can we develop something that will give them that opportunity? So we come up with a concept of Cafe Connect. What we then done, we presented to ADP, our kind of steering group, along with other kind of members of the steering group. And I have to kind of say, when we kind of presented that concept, there's a few kind of blank stares within the kind of steering group. How are you going to develop this? How are you going to kind of set it up? What's it going to look like? But we kind of had faith that if the ADP gave us the backing, we could develop this and put it into practice within the local community. So on the back of the kind of presentation, we got the kind of agreement. But again, the agreement we kind of got was, we're not going to give any more funding. We're not going to give any more staff. You have to use your existing funding and your existing staff. And again, because we had the passion and the will to develop something to give people this opportunity and this kind of resource within the community, we'll do it. So what we then had to do was, we had to then go and link in with members of Cambuslang Community Council. We couldn't just set up a kind of conversation or a harm reduction style cafe on their doorstep. We then had to get involved in the community. We then had to go and speak to the council. And again, like myself and Jan, who we can thought there'd be a wee bit of resistance. So we went in, we're like, this is going to be a difficult conversation. How are we going to sell this? And in fairness, Mark, who was the secretary for Cambuslang Community Council, was a wee bit like ourselves. He got it straight away after 5 minutes of the conversation. How can I help you? How can I support you? And what I then kind of done was, leave it with me. I'll speak to the other members of the council. And I'm pretty sure we can give you the kind of go ahead to kind of set this up. He then linked us in with members of the kind of businesses within kind of Cambuslang kind of Main Street. Again, because part of what we're trying to do with the kind of cafe is, we're trying to kind of break down stigma. We're trying to break down discrimination. We're trying to kind of get people involved in the local community. And for me, there's really good examples out there of how kind of people break down stigma and discrimination through interactions within the local community, rather than trying to kind of like have the conversation. We want people to interact and be involved in that community and try and break down that stigma and discrimination. So for us, Cafe Connect gives people a sense of belonging, and it belongs to the people that came. So for us, the concept of Cafe Connect is to give people, to feel valued, to give them a connection, and to give them a sense of purpose in the local community. For people that are still using substances, We want people to come along, take ownership, make the cafe about them, you know, and eventually they're the ones that are going to take on the lead roles within the kind of cafe. And again, it's giving people a resource. For us, it's like, when I kind of moved through to kind of South Lanarkshire, there was loads of kind of recovery-based initiatives, you know, and resources for people to attend if they were deemed stable enough in the community. When people are kind of presenting to see the kind of beacons and their kind of recovery initiatives through in South Lanarkshire, they were then told you're not stable enough, so you don't fit our criteria. So that was then reinforcing the feelings of hopelessness for people, and then it was then creating that further barrier because of services, you know, because people were just left on treatment and they weren't getting these some opportunities. So once we developed the cafe, and bearing in mind this cafe is only 5 or 6 weeks old, I've not got loads of valuation and facts and figures to kind of, you know, kind of like blows away with here. This is only 5 or 6 weeks old. No, it's a really kind of new initiative within this kind of area. But again, what we kind of do know is when we had people coming along, we didn't want to see as a list of rules and regulations for these. We wanted to kind of get them involved. Right, tell us what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Head a charter. You tell us what you want to see, what you do want to see as part of the kind of cafe. You know, and this is some of the stuff that people kind of wrote down. Being respectful, no substance or alcohol on the premises, no dealing, asking for help, confidentiality. For me, the most important thing of that is feeling safe. We want to develop something for people to feel safe. Do you know what I mean? And again, you know, the kind of cafe, it was like, that's quite organic. So if people come along to that who have not been to that previously, that chat will go up every week. And there's something they kind of feel they want to add to that chat, or they can add to it, which we feel is really important. So I can see their voice is getting heard, you know. And again, this is probably kind of part that blew me away. We've not got loads of evaluation and facts and figures, but each kind of week we'll kind of get some of the information and some of the photographs that are took by the kind of staff that kind of host the cafe. We've got a harm reduction lead within the kind of service. We've got one of our kind of peers who's got lived experience and one of our support practitioners who's really kind of passionate about trying to make a difference within the community. So our kind of, I guess, our presentation initially at ADP, one of the areas we identified was having specific rules for people who are come out of the cafe. And we felt it would take a period of time for people to identify the rules. The rules could consist of, in the cafe, we've got soup, sandwiches, tea, coffee, different kind of group settings. We've kind of got people who can facilitate the group meeting and greeting situations like training, education, what to kind of do. So we're hoping people would take ownership of their kind of roles, and they would eventually kind of run, that would be kind of role specific to them, so would feel valued. After 4 weeks, we had people taking up roles already, which I found was like kind of mind blowing. I was like, wow, this is great, people get this. We were coming along, straight away identifying roles for ourselves, tidying up, writing. And we've not kind of changed. This is the actual kind of photographs for the cafe. You know, we're not going to change them. And I think for us, people are already kind of starting to establish their valued roles within the cafe. They're identifying what kind of role they want to play within the cafe. You know, and they're identifying that this cafe belongs to us. This is something we've not had before within kind of South Lanarkshire. Let's kind of take ownership here. And what I would say as well, quite early doors, we've had the buy-in to other kind of services. We had the kind of pop-up event when International Overdose Awareness Day, which Jason and kind of Marty for the SDF came along to. We had the harm reduction team came along. We had the urgent response team, who's the NHS service trying to get people into the same day access to treatment. We had the domestic abuse service come along. So we had the buy-in straight away for kind of services within kind of South Lanarkshire, because they got it as well, you know. And what I kind of will say is we have the urgent response team there. They're there each night. The cafe's on. And what they kind of do, if you've got somebody who comes along who's non-treatment, who wants to get into treatment, they'll do an assessment there and then, and they'll follow it up the next day and get them onto treatment that day, which is really important for us. And part of the cafe as well, which I've not kind of touched on, so part of the concept of the cafe is, if somebody presents at a hospital after a near-fatal overdose and getting discharged, rather than that person going home and be further risk of overdose, they can come to the cafe and be observed during that period as well. The staff will then kind of take them home and then do follow-up the next day. Same with the ambulance service. We've kind of got a good relationship with the ambulance service, with Suze. Suze was there when they launched as well on the 27th of September. And the agreement in place as well is if an ambulance gets called for somebody in South Lanarkshire, if they refuse to go to the hospital or refuse to go to the ambulance, the compromise is, let's get them along to the cafe and keep an eye on them, keep them safe. So again, this is some of the feedback I've had to kind of, for people during the time they've kind of came to the cafe, you know, and again, it's really kind of important that we kind of make people feel safe. You know, we make them feel valued. They're getting that connection with other kind of people. They're kind of getting that involvement. Your cafe takes place, it's not during the day, it's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. So it's in the evening when there's limited resources, limited opportunities for people. So again, people have the opportunity to come along in the evening, get involved in the activities within the kind of cafe we've got kind of one of our kind of support practitioners makes his own soup, used to be a chef, which is brilliant, you know what I mean? Makes his own sandwiches, you know, and people can come along and kind of get involved, you know, fully within the kind of cafe and identify the kind of roles that we spoke about. And again, it's like good laugh, smiled a lot, first time in a while, powerful. So again, like probably kind of third or fourth week, you know, we kind of had a male and a female come out to the cafe. One of the males a wee bit kind of worse for wear. What then kind of happened was, we kind of didn't think initially because of how he was presenting, he was going to get allowed back into the cafe, explained what the cafe was about. He didn't have to be absent, he didn't have to be straight, he didn't have to be, you could be under the influence of drugs, you're barely welcome into the cafe. Person came in, the kind of staff monitored them, but they kind of noticed that as time went on, they get a wee bit kind of worse and eventually kind of lost consciousness. What the staff then done was obviously phoned an ambulance, providing a naloxone, and then when the person came around, they refused to kind of go to the hospital. So what then kind of happened was the person stayed in the cafe until it kind of closed. It was monitored. We had the nurses for urgent response team there who kind of monitored the situation also. We were in contact with the kind of clinical nurse for the kind of hospital. With the kind of phone, they kind of said that it was kind of safe to go home because they didn't want to go to hospital. Staff took him home and then followed it up the next day and linked him his cares work and provided information to it. And for us, it's like you never want to see anybody overdosing. But for me, that person went home. That person didn't come to the cafe. If that resource wasn't in place, that person could have went home, you know, and they could have died, you know. So, as again, that's, you never want that to happen, but that's part of the reason why the cafe's been set up. People will get a safe place to come to, get that support, and then get followed up the next day. So again, for us, we've got a 12-month plan. You obviously have got a 12-month plan, it ends up 18-month plan, 24-month plan, but we've got a 12-month plan, that's how we envision it. Part of that 12-month plan is, for the first 4 months, it's getting people into the cafe. For us, I've worked in Glasgow for a long time, then through to South Lanarkshire to manage the reach out service. And what we've noticed is it's quite difficult to get people to engage with community assets, really, really difficult. So we need to kind of persevere to try and get them to engage. Our kind of service, the reach out service, goes to people's homes and supports them in their homes, but try to get them to engage within kind of community initiatives has been kind of really difficult for us. We've got different drop-ins. So for us, we've got a 4-month period. We try and hope that people will come along, they'll kind of get involved in the cafe, they'll kind of give us ideas and suggestions what they want to see within the cafe, and we'll try and implement that within the cafe. The next 4 months, we'll try and put the suggestions in place. So some of the suggestions we've had already: creative writing, drama, art therapy, bushcraft, education and training, match standards training. So loads of kind of ideas and that we've kind of had for kind of people who come out of the cafe. We hope to implement that. We don't want to just have a cafe and a resource for people come along and see me what I see X, Y, and Z, and us not putting any action in the back of that. We'll follow that up and implement what people are kind of feeding back to us, what they kind of feel they want to see as part of the cafe. In the last 4 months, we want the kind of cafe we feel around with volunteers. That's our vision. We want that cafe. We want people to take ownership of that cafe. Hence the reason why we have kind of got roles within that cafe, because when people have to take on the valued roles, they kind of feel valued within that cafe. Then the next stage for us, they take ownership of that cafe. They run and maintain that cafe, and that's embedded within the community. And for us, that then breaks down stigma, it breaks down discrimination. So you're then seeing the opportunities for people to take on that level of responsibility and embed that within the community in Cambuslang. And then there will be qualitative evaluation after that 12-month period. So who knows, in 12-month period, they fact and figure the evaluation of no what just now. They might just have that, maybe present that at some stage and kind of give you the outcome of how the cafe's been after 12 months. And again, that's what we're trying to do, putting people at the heart of the process that normally exclude them. So for us, this is really important. People who use drugs, and you still be a valued member of the community. We totally believe that, we get that. And that's the whole reason we're setting up the cafe. You know, we had an experience of that. There was kind of pop-up event, we had the International Brothers Awareness Day, when the kind of girls come along to participate in the cafe, and the kind of staff noticed she's a wee bit kind of withdrawn. So I had a kind of conversation with it, and it turns out, she said, I thought you had to be kind of straight to come here, I didn't realise you come along here using drugs. We said, no, You come along here, you're using drugs, that's the whole point of the kind of cafe set up, to give people that are still kind of using substances the opportunity of not kind of getting within the community. So what then happens, I never realised that. I kind of feel, I'm not kind of feeling too great just now, so I'm going to go away and kind of get what I have to get. Go back 15 minutes later and fully participate in the cafe. Our feedback was amazing, the involvement was amazing, you know, and she's come back every week since then. She's come back to the cafe, and she's one of the girls that now does the writing as part of the kind of cafe as well. So she's took a valued role on as part of that cafe as well. For initially coming and thinking, I can't come here because I can't use drugs if I come here, to then going, do you know what, I'm going to feel valued within this setting, and I want to kind of take ownership and get involved in this cafe fully. And that's some of the kind of photo there is, so that's our kind of staff who kind of, I guess, kind of run the cafe. You know, that's kind of Brian, who's one of our peer support practitioners, who's got lived experience. That's Leah, who's one of our support practitioners, and obviously Andy, who's our harm reduction lead. They've took full ownership of that. You know, they've invested a lot of time and effort into that to kind of get the cafe set up to the extent where it is just now. As I kind of said, eventually we hope Andy, Leah and Brian will be at the picture, and we'll have people who are coming along and getting involved in the cafe. They're the ones that we're running and maintaining it. So I think that's us. So thanks everybody for listening. Hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.